Hello, salon partners. We're so excited to talk to you today about merchandising your retail, whether you have a large space or a small space. I am Daniel. I am one of our two store operations coordinators. With me, I have Kenzie, my fellow store operations coordinator, and our store design specialist, Brooke. First things first, why is retail so important behind the chair? When I worked behind the chair, selling retail was one of my favorite ways to make a great supplemental income. So today we'll cover a few different ways that you can practice great merchandising, no matter what size your space is. That way you can grab the attention of your clients so that you can sell the products that you love. So a few really important things to think about when you do this is, what are your top sellers? How clean and inviting are your retail shelves? Do you have plans mapped out to create deals and promos so you can be sure you're making a profit? So I'm going to walk you through how to do a small retail space after Kenzie shows you guys some tips and tricks about retailing a large retail space. Brooke is going to share some information about merchandising and advertising in both. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kenzie, and she's going to talk about merchandising your large retail space.
Hi, everybody. I am Kinsey. I've had a lot of experience over the years merchandising large retail zones. That was my previous job as an operations lead and merchandising and coming up with new ways to add in planograms. So let me show you a few tips and tricks on how to merchandise in a large zone. I'm going to focus on a few different things today. First, starting off with color coordinating. As you can see, we've brought in 3 different brands: K18, Amica, 1821, and then our Cools. Color coordinating can look a lot of different ways, especially using these brands. I use the focus of contrast in colors. So I went in with a lighter color, the bright colors, and then darker. Contrasting is so great, especially if you're mixing brands on shelves. That just gives the visual representation to the eye for the brands that you're putting on the shelving for clients to come in and buy. The next focus as well with contrast is highlighting the brands. So using the contrast and the colors to highlight your brands is super important, but also you can use the color wheel to highlight as well. So for example, on Amica, I went through and I tried to utilize the color wheel to use emphasis on each style and what exactly your client wants to walk up and look at. So obviously Roy G. Biv is what I use to create an emphasis on like Normcore, Velveteen Dream. Those are just what brings the client in to look at it, and that just captures with the eye. So the color wheel is super important whenever you're merchandising. You can also use that, say you have one entire brand. So if you only sell Amica in your store, you can use it going vertically instead of horizontally. So you can work with that in several different ways to merchandise in a large zone. It also just creates emphasis and effect. So when I look at the white zone, and I know that it's K18, I'm able to just walk right into K18. Or say you have 2 different brands that are super dark, putting K18 in the middle and splitting it up would just add a better emphasis, so your shopper is drawn in. The color coordinating is all about drawing your shopper in. The next thing you focus on is spacing. So as you can see here, I've added spacing for effect. So if everything was jumbled together, it's a lot harder to want to come and shop. It's all about making your customer want to come in and shop and look at your retail and see that this is what they want to buy from. I don't know about you guys, but when I come into a store and everything is mixed together, it's all super close. Say like you're going to the grocery store, you walk down the aisle and you just miss everything in sight. You only go for the one thing that's there. So spacing emphasizes on families as well as particular products, but it just makes it easier to see what you're looking for. So for example, 1821, we have spacing in between things like the body care and then each family as a whole. So spacing just makes it better for the visual to come in and see what you're looking for. It also creates an idea of demand. So with my spacing, I only keep 1 to 2 products in a row of each style of product. So for the smaller peptide prep in K18, I have 2 items and of the smaller size, and then one row of the larger size. That creates demand. So when you have two products to sell, the client knows that the product is in demand and it is ready to be purchased, and that other people are looking at it. You've obviously bought it for a reason, and that people should buy it. But when you only have two as well, it means that you need to buy it now. So having the two in a row makes clients know that they need to buy it now versus waiting until the next time that they come in. If you don't have it available, of course, that's okay, but then that's when I would move into grouping into families. So on every single one of these, I've grouped into families on what you should use and what you would want to buy. So once again, I'll go back to Amika. I've grouped into families of Normcore, Velveteen Dream, Power Hour, Hydro Rush, and Bust Your Brass. This means that clients can come right in and say if they went super blonde this time in the salon, they're gonna go straight to Bust Your Brass and look in that family. But they might need a little bit of extra hydration. So they're gonna move over to Hydro Rush. So that's just one way to group everything together, like peptide prep. And then that is the pH maintenance shampoo as well as a detox shampoo. So just grouping in by families makes it easier for your clients to shop, but also to mix and match. I know as myself, as a curly haired girl, I love to straighten my hair, get a little bit of difference going. So I would automatically come to Hydro Rush, get a hydrating shampoo and conditioner, but then look around and see Velveteen Dream, and that maybe I want to try that line, or even just try the smoothing ball from that line. So creating families is super important for your clients to come in and get what they need, but also to add on or to complete the line. They may have been just looking for a shampoo and conditioner, but seeing that all of the masks are in there, mixing with the line or a treatment, that is super important as well. Another thing to highlight on when merchandising in a large zone is making sure that you emphasize on some of your top sellers, those new things that are going social media viral. We know how big that is, and TikTok even just blows everything up. So marginalize on those things, especially in a large retail zone. Put the huge sellers right here in the center, put them on the top, play around with it, and give some emphasis to those sellers. So for example, I put Perk Up by Amika. That is so huge, as well as their new Power Hour curl line. Those things are huge sellers that are front and center. There's just those grab and goes for your clients, and then they can look around and build on top of that. Putting it in the middle means that they have to look in other places before they leave that area. So grabbing those items to go is going to help with your merchandising and making those sales. The last thing to merchandise are your tools. Tools are so great because you can put them in line with their brand, or you can separate them out. So Amika, because our brand was so full at the top, but I've got a little bit of extra merchandising space, I kept that family together. But on top of that, I kept You Smooth together as well. So being able to break up those families, if a client likes to stick to a specific brand, they can go straight to the brand they like. But having another brand option also lets them ask questions, lets you follow up and answer, because your clients trust you and your expertise. Then they will want to buy those items. They're there, they're not mixed in with Amika and then You Smooth, Amika and then You Smooth. They're kept in their families so that you can look and stick to the brands that you like. Another thing is just making sure that you're focusing on keeping space for graphics as well as fillers. And I'm going to let Brooke lead into that.
Thank you. So when you're retailing in a larger space, you'll want some larger signs, but you also don't want to overcrowd it. So here I've chosen a few. We have full page signs, and then we have a full shelf talker, and then we also have this little aisle interrupter, which I'll get into in just a minute. So for your full size signs, those are great to get like a very direct message, a very loud message across. This is going to tell you exactly what's coming up. Introduce 1821, show off the product a little bit. Next, with our larger shelf talker, it's getting across that we're introducing Amika, but it's not quite as much as these ones here. This one will just get around like directly to you, like introducing Amika. And you also notice it's on brand. That's also important to think about. And then with our aisle interrupter, those are great for when somebody's walking by. It does what it says. It's an aisle interrupter. It's going to interrupt their flow. Ours right now is a for our same day local store delivery. So it's great for our customers because they know, like, if they can't come in one day, they know we have delivery available for them. One thing I mentioned is that you want to stay on brand. Right here, we have our branded brands, but it's also okay for you to show your own personality while staying on brand with these. So find your own brand look too. If it's colorful, be colorful. If it's darker, a little more masculine, stay masculine. Yeah, but I think that I am going to pass this off to Daniel to start our small retail spacing.
Thanks, Brooke. So how does a smaller retail space differ from a large one? The obvious answer is spacing. You simply don't have as much. In addition to that, though, you need to focus on a few things. Rather than just packing small shelves full so that they feel extremely full, your efforts need to be a little more focused because, believe it or not, too much products on your shelves can overwhelm your clients. It'll deter them from buying. So sometimes with just too many options on a small space, it's just overwhelming and they don't know how to make a decision. Something that's really important when you're selling retail in any size space, though, are some little selling secrets. So I want to cover some of those. Our landscape of selling has changed in the modern world, and there are some old ways of thinking that aren't as relevant anymore. For example, a common thought is if it's in the back room, it doesn't sell. Well, this is not necessarily true for your top sellers. Believe it or not, your slow moving product, your low sellers, bulk inventory that you have, it's a super smart way to move that by creating a demand for it. Your top sellers are your top sellers, so they're going to move no matter what. But when you have products that you struggle to move or products that you feel like your clients maybe don't notice as often or aren't as excited about, you want to create a demand for those things. So you'll see here that Kenzie has set up multiple facings of something. But if you were to take one of each item versus multiple facings of them, this creates that situation that I'm sure a lot of us have been in when you buy something and then later you tell somebody, and I got the last one. You probably didn't actually get the last one, but by creating a limited look of quantity on shelves, this is a great way that businesses and stylists can merchandise things by creating an excitement and a demand. You think if I don't get it now, I'm going to miss out on it. You're creating a get it while it's hot culture, essentially, is what you're doing. So another smart choice in merchandising when you have limited space is to pay attention to how you can make a profit as a business owner. If you're already working smarter, not harder, then your retail markup should at least be helping you break even if you're marking up at 100%. But you can use top sellers to bundle with low sellers to create interest and excitement too. For example, Kenzie was talking about the curl line. Well, an intense moisture leave-in conditioner, most of the curl clients I've had over the years, they absolutely need a refreshing spray. That's something that's going to move quickly. And you know that. But let's say that my overnight hydration treatment isn't as exciting for my curl girls. What you can do is say, buy one, get one 50% off. In reality, you're breaking even on what you've marked down 50% off. But they're excited about getting a deal. So you're going to push your lower seller by bundling it with your top seller and creating a promo. This is also a good way to utilize creating good flash sales, any sort of like last minute exciting deals, especially if you do know, like I have nobody buying my large quantity of K18 because it's typically for a back bar or something like that. But say that you're feeling like you're not making a good profit or breaking even on it, you can say, you're gonna get 3 products for 25% off. In reality, what you're doing is you're focusing on this large one to create excitement so that you can move the inventory that is staying on your shelves constantly. So something else to think about too is if you have things that you struggle to sell, create excitement by using them on your clients for free or giving them samples. Like we have the small K-18 molecular science masks. So something that I did when I was behind the chair is I would take them to the bowl and I would say, hey, I just got this new mask in. I think it's incredible. I'm really excited about. I'm going to use it on you today, but I'm not going to charge you for that service. What you're doing is you're giving them something to go home later and think about, oh my gosh, my hair feels so good. It looks so good. I'm really excited about it. What was that product that they used on me that I hadn't heard about before? That's where you can use these as samples or exciting freebies, prompting them next time they come in to want to buy something that is a slow seller. So you're focusing on moving slower moving products. That's always the goal here. Something else when you have a small retail space is focus on your geometry of setting up. I like to think of the rule of 3. So K18, for example, if you create almost what feels like a pyramid shape, what you're doing is you're highlighting a single brand in a rule of 3 and creating geometric interest. This is a good way to bring your customer to the shelf simply to look at this gorgeous setup you've done. Kind of like what Kenzie touched on is when there's nothing but products just all down a shelf in a line in a row, you miss so much because you just walk right past what you don't know, trying to go directly to what you know you already love. So I like to do that and also use various sizes of your products to create geometric shapes that'll bring interest to your small space. So something that's important to think about finally is you want to utilize also negative space. Because you have a small space, we have the urge to pack it full. But you have a specific brand and you have a specific attitude as well as a business owner. So say that everybody knows you love plants and you have negative space on your shelf. Utilize it. It's okay to have negative space to create a display that isn't overwhelming to the eye. We have a little golden girl succulent here. Let's say you're quirky. Let's say your business is quirky. This is Sophia from Golden Girls. There's a little succulent coming out of her head. Create something that people laugh at. Create something that makes them want to come hang out at your shelves because they're fun and they're easy and the vibe is chill. Another thing you want to do is you need to often change the location of your products. I think we get in a really good habit when we're behind the chair and we're selling retail of putting it on a shelf and leaving it on a shelf. And until it's gone, we don't do anything with it. But in doing that, if I'm a K18 buyer, I know that when I come in, it's at the first shelf, it's on the top. I'll go straight to it and then I'll go about my business. But if I come in the next time to go to my favorite product and it's moved, and the interest has changed, it takes me a moment to find what I'm so used to looking for. And then I'm utilizing the negative space again to create a new picture. And the client goes, oh, I need K18. Oh, what is this? I haven't seen this before. So in moving your product around, you're creating a journey for your client to take to find, because we always want to go to our favorite product, but we want them to have new favorite products too. So changing the location is really important. Another thing that you want to do is you really want to think about merchandising as a game. You're the player, your client is the player, and you want to win. So it's no surprise that no matter what size space you're using, you need to keep your own marketing and advertising in mind as well, so that you can play the game with your clients. So Brooke covered merchandising and advertising in a large retail space. I'm not going to let her speak to retailing merchandising in a small space. Brooke?
You know? So as Daniel just said, we're taking what we have from here and moving it over here to the smaller space. We're going to start with a half page sign. So now what the full page sign did before, this is what the half page sign is going to do instead. But it's not going to take up as much real estate as the full page sign did. We also have a smaller shelf talker, same thing as it did over there on the full size. you're going to just say, oh, we're introducing Amika, but it's just more fit to the smaller size shelves. We also have one of my favorite signs that we have here at SSG is our shelf wobblers. These are great because once you stick them on, they move around really fun, they bounce, like people are like, ooh, what's that? Like, and then they're like, oh, what's this, a QR code on it? We have QR codes on all of ours. And it is a fantastic tool to get information to your clients. Say you want them to know about deals you have coming up. You could link it to something like that. You could link it to your own online store. That is a fantastic piece for those. And next, I'm going to touch a little bit more on filler. Daniel already kind of started using plants. This one's a live one. I personally can't take care of plants, so using fake plants is just fine. This one, the little head, she's also fake. But really taking that and using your own personality. Your clients come to you because they enjoy being your client. Like, they come to you for a reason. So show them why they come to you. Show them why they know you. Like, I have a little crystal over here because I am very into crystals. And then you have like your little energy vibrations up too. Anything you can think of, knickknacks, fairy lights, I feel like is a good one that people don't touch on, LED lights, just really showing your personality, your branding, because establishing your branding is very important. It shows exactly who you are, like in an instant. However, you also don't want to overcrowd it. You want to keep that negative space still. You want to keep it light. You want to keep it airy so that it's easily shoppable for your customers. And that is, I think, all I have for fillers. We are going to start wrapping up now. I'll have Daniel and Kenzie come back.
So really, we just kind of want to re-hit the bullet points and the key things we've discussed today. Obviously, Kenzie talked about in a large retail space, utilizing things like color coordination, utilizing things like families. Is there anything else you kind of want to hit back on?
I think that's mainly it. One thing that I kind of didn't go completely over was also a great way to present merchandise is to go in the way that the client would use the product. So,
That's a great point.
So that makes them want to buy more. So if you start with a treatment and then a shampoo, a conditioner, a styling product, a hairspray, let that go in order. So as they walk, it flows. And then they're like, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. It's really all about creating an environment where the customer wants to ask and where they want to buy and where they want to see and walk up to what you have going on for your merchandising. And in the same ways for large merchandising. Switch it up so your customer has to look. Switch it up so they have to ask and then they want to buy. It's all about building the basket and creating those sales and making them leave happy as well. But I think that's all I have to hit on a large space. Do you have anything to add?
So for a small space, I think it's just really important that you always remember a large difference in how you're going to merchandise that is to do less. Less is always more. Again, we have this idea that I have a small space. I don't have a lot of options to display my products, so I need to pack them full. Don't pack them full. Don't believe the old wives' tale that it won't sell in the back room. Create a demand, create excitement, utilize negative space to make people feel like if they don't get it now, it will be gone. Is there anything else you want to talk about in advertising and merchandising either?
Yeah, so a lot of the pieces that I've used today are on our marketing website, which is marketing.salonservicegroup.com. If you don't find what you're looking for, such as like these shelf talkers, you can request, talk to your DSC, you can request signage through our tiered marketing program. But contact your DSC, they should have all the information for you. And then one more thing, if you are interested in an online store or don't have one, this specific piece in our store is for SSG Direct. That is a great benefit for you and selling products that you can't necessarily merchandise. Say you're in a small area, like you can sell a lot more through this. So that's something that's exciting if you don't have one yet.
And I want to just snowball off of that a little bit when we talk about SSG Direct. You know, we keep talking about how the goal for you is to make a profit on what you're buying. What's so fantastic about SSG Direct is you're creating a store that's working while you're not. It's an online store where you are making a profit on the products that you are selling in that online store, and it's happening while you're asleep. It's happening while you're traveling. It's happening while you're behind the chair. So you're not even actively having to do anything.
And say you're out of stock. You're like, send your client right there. Oh, hey, go buy it there, like immediately.
That's a really great point. So most importantly, I would say no matter what size your space is, whether you're retailing in large or small, have fun. There is no one way to do it. There is no right or wrong. There are smart practices and there are things to take into account based on your space. But ultimately, you just want to have something you're excited about, and that's going to make your clients excited about it as well. So until next time, happy merchandising.